everybody, and welcome to Lattes on My Mind.
I'm Hannah.
And I'm Felina. Hannah, are we continuing the discussion this week?
Yes, this is part 2 of ancient medicines because I got so many of them.
This is so exciting. I'm ready for it.
All right.
Grab your lattes and join us for the journey.
So, moving on to the Greek world. So, they also saw sickness as inflicted from the gods.
Okay.
And then later...
So it's still spiritual.
Yes, it starts out spiritual again. And then later on, it becomes more scientific. And they're starting to be like, oh, actually, sickness might come actually from, like, the human body. You know, like, it might be related to, like, more natural causes, not just the gods.
Yeah.
But still, they kind of worked in tandem with these two ideas, spiritual and physical. So, of course... in the 4th century BC, they would use charms, but they would also use herbs. So it's like herbs? No, it's herbs. Herb, you can be a name, which I think is so weird.
Herb.
I just think that's so weird.
Yeah, I've known someone that has the same name as an herb. Not herb. I'm not going to say their name.
Right.
I'll tell you after.
But like your name was paprika or something.
Right, yeah.
Or I don't know.
Something silly
I guess it's
like
a
that.
seasoning, but
yeah.
You know what I mean.
Yeah.
Something that's very interesting. But so they would do both. They would like do a little bit of natural, and then they would also combine it with like charms and whatever, prayers.
When you say
whatever.
charm, you're not
like wearing charms, I think.
Okay.
I'm not quite sure. Like, I guess amulets, like,
okay.
Not like, what did you think that I meant?
I wasn't sure. I was I was thinking like charm bracelet.
Like, yeah, like they would wear, I mean,
like,
it was
surely
not a charm bracelet at the time,
right,
but they would wear
like
amulets and things that would like ward off spirits, I guess, kind of like, you know,
okay,
a necklace of some sort, or maybe,
yeah,
I assume. Anyway, so sometimes early on, because they thought it was like a spiritual thing going on, they would take the patients after they like treated them, they would take them to the temple of Asclepios, who's the Greek god of healing.
Okay.
And they would spend the night there. So they would take care of them and
so
then
they'd be
let's
healed.
go to the temple. Yeah. And apparently they would sometimes believe that the daughters of this guy, Asclepios, sure. Hygeia and Panacea. Sure.
Okay.
They would bring 2 snakes during the night and heal the people who were sleeping there because the snakes were considered like holy or revered, I guess. Another reason why they possibly think maybe the snake symbol
wraps around.
Yeah.
Because aren't there 2 of them? That wrap around?
Maybe. I thought there was only 1. Maybe there are 2. Maybe there is 2. There is one that has 2. There are several different like medical symbols
that have like
a snake or the worm or whatever.
Something.
Yeah. I think there might be 2, which might refer
that
to
might be why
the women. Yeah.
That makes sense.
Because I read that this was also an inspiration for it. So I was like, huh.
Yeah.
Huh. So they would come and they would heal the people. So, I mean, obviously this is like the mythological part of it all. But they would believe that, you know, you could be treated by a doctor, but then you could also go to the temple. So it was kind of like, is it natural? Is it
Are you
spiritual?
bad enough?
Yeah. So yeah, obviously it's always like thought like this is punishment or like healing is a gift from the gods, you know? Now in the early ages of the Greek world, there were really no credentials for you to be a doctor. You could just kind of decide you wanted to be a doctor.
I'm a doctor. I put a band-aid on this person.
Right.
That means I'm a doctor.
Right. And then you would just like go look for patients.
It's like me doing research on
I'm now a doctor.
on something sciencey and being like, I'm a scientist.
I think I can do this.
Yeah.
So yeah, there was like no, like, because at this time there's no organized body of like medicine or doctors at this time. It's sort of just like, oh, I'm going to go to someone to help me. And you could decide if you wanted. You could just be like, hey, I'm kind of good at this, I guess. Like, I can dress wounds. I'll be a doctor. You know, I don't know. It was just like, Now,
interesting.
This guy named Hippocrates is considered like the father of medicine in the Western world, I think. But he obviously had really like far out there ideas, but he also was like advanced this organization of medicine. I think he had like a school of medicine or something as well. I'm not really sure. But he discovered something called clubbing of the fingers, which him and his school of medicine, they wrote about them, the clubbing fingers, which shows possible heart disease, lung disease, and lung cancer.
What does clubbing of the fingers look like?
I looked it up. It's disgusting. It's like the tips of your fingers. Sorry,
it's disgusting.
It's disgusting. I'm so sorry. But they're sometimes called Hippocratic fingers, but now they're known as clubbing of the fingers
because of
the guy Hippocrates.
Oh,
yeah.
Oh,
hold on,
that
let me
makes
show you.
more sense.
But it does.
Why?
It is like shows like heart disease and like lung disease and stuff.
It shows heart disease.
It does. It is a symptom of having heart disease.
Oh, like they're really big. Oh, that's not good.
No, they're like really big. Yeah, clubbing of the fingers. Look it up.
It's like
an abnormal.
Show it to me again. Show it to me again. It's like I feel like everyone here has seen someone with these fingers. Mm-hmm. But it's like you have your regular fingers. That one's really extreme, yeah.
Yeah.
You have your regular fingers and then like
the ends,
like the tips, the last tip of your finger is like swollen.
Like balloon.
Like it's like a balloon. Yeah. But is that their fingernail?
Yeah, their fingernails are also weird.
The fingernails are like long and like wide, and
they might just look like that because that person has finger clubbing causes. Oh yeah.
No, yeah, it's like your fingers are fine, and then
some are as extreme.
It's like a circle. It's like a little globe.
It's pretty. I'm sorry for calling it gross for those
if you have that.
I'm so sorry. It just looks pretty like ooh.
That's severe though.
That's a severe case. That's that looked
the
disturbing.
picture she showed me was very severe.
Yes, it was. I don't think everyone's look like that. It probably also depends on the type of heart failure going on or heart disease or.
No, I've definitely seen people with not like nearly as severe as that. But like seeing people with like their fingertips kind of like look a little bit bigger.
Right. So he had this school of medicine and they wrote about it. So it's kind of crazy. That they knew because they like linked it to like heart disease and stuff.
Yeah.
Which is crazy. Then there is also something called the Hippocratic face, which was when they would think that a person was about to die.
Oh no.
So it would be like their features were obviously very pale.
Yeah.
They had sunken eyes and like a sharp nose, which I was trying to figure out what that meant. And then
it's probably like you've like
sunken in.
Yeah, it's like sunken in.
Ew. Ooh. And then they had like dry and stretched facial skin and cold ears. So like this became known as the Hippocratic face.
Have you seen someone who is near to death?
Yeah, but it's been a minute, but yeah.
I feel like
that's
pretty actually accurate.
Yeah. So I guess they could be like, you're about to die.
Yeah.
Which is like such a great thing to say to someone.
Yeah.
And obviously the Hippocratic Oath stems from him. Or not from him, but the doctors in this time, they had like an oath that was like more religious in nature. It was more like a religious document.
Yeah.
But it was about like adhering to like certain moral understandings between the doctors, such as confidentiality. So they had that.
Okay.
So, like, they wouldn't tell other people what was going on with that person.
Oh.
Yeah, because they thought it was like apparently none of anyone else's business. So that's how that started.
That's interesting.
Yeah. They promised that they like wouldn't abuse their patients or administer poison to them, which is great. Like you don't want to do that if you're a doctor.
But
that was part of the oath.
Do that though?
Yes, they did give poison to people because they thought they were medicinal. So I guess they just like, we won't poison them all away.
We won't poison them to our knowledge.
to our knowledge. And then it was other things like you show compassion, you are clean, and you write down the patient's symptoms. So it like there's a modern Hippocratic Oath today, which is different, but it like comes from this tradition.
Yeah.
It's a different kind of.
It's like you will do everything in your power
to save
a person. Yeah. You'll never cause someone to die. Like purposely cause someone to die.
And also like the thing like not telling about telling the patient's information,
like confidentiality. Yeah. Well, that's a HIPAA violation.
It's like a big thing. Yeah, it's a HIPAA violation, and also I think it was part of the old Hippocratic Oath, and I don't know if it's still part of the new one, but like I think it's kind of assumed.
Yeah,
that you want to do that. So some of the treatments in the Greek world. Sorry, that was kind of like a little backstory.
A little side note.
When they would have a lot of the surgeries that they did were like battle wounds because they were like
there was war.
There was war, and they would have military doctors that like went with them.
Yeah.
But they didn't really have anesthetics. It was thought that they might have used opium during this time.
How did they get that?
But not often. I do not know. I'm not really sure.
Where did that come from?
Doesn't opium come from poppy seeds?
Oh, you know what?
Isn't it?
You might be right. Something comes from poppy seeds.
It might be. So they might have used it, but it was apparently, they thought, not often, because there were like records of people being like held down during surgery because of how painful it was.
Well, and I wonder how hard it was to come by them.
Yeah, probably. I mean, well, if you didn't know, or if poppy seeds were scarce in that region, then
yeah,
I think it comes from poppy seeds. I might be wrong. We'll have to look that up. But they did have stitches that they would use to like seal up the wound with linen or flax, and they would put oil, wine, honey, seawater, or vinegar to like on the wrappings and then like wrap it up.
That's wine actually, yeah, no, really sense. Good. Wine is alcoholic.
Seawater
is salt water. Mm-hmm. It'll clean the wound.
Vinegar also
will clean the wound. I'm not sure about the honey.
I guess it would like. Isn't honey like?
I guess, yeah,
it would be good for the skin, but yeah. I guess honey might have antibacterial properties. Actually, I think I read.
I think it does,
which is crazy because sick when you're sick.
Local honey,
yeah.
Like local to you, like the region, your local honey is going to benefit you. Mm-hmm. Now, local honey from somewhere else isn't really going to do.
No, much. Yeah, I mean, like Kroger honey. It's not going to do really anything. I mean, because doesn't it help? Don't local honeys like help allergies?
Yeah,
because you're taking in, I guess.
Because in your region, yeah.
And also they might have used honey or egg whites to possibly like close the skin of a wound. I guess like the stickiness. I guess if it wasn't like a bad one, which it's gross to me. I'm like, ooh, egg whites, because I guess they're like dry and they might like, ooh.
That sounds so uncomfortable.
That's gross. That's disgusting.
Most of these just sound uncomfy.
Yeah, but I will say that the wine and like the vinegar and the salt water, like that makes sense to me. Like that. Okay, that could like actually like clean it out.
No, yeah, especially the salt water. I don't think they needed all of that. I think they literally just needed the salt water, but that's okay.
It's okay.
Why not?
Whatever.
It's like when you're a little kid and you're like playing with like your mom's like conditioner and shampoo and like body wash and stuff. Did you ever do that?
Play with it?
Yeah, like you're in the bathtub and you're just like making a potion.
Oh yeah, like combining it together. Yeah, I think I might have done something like that.
That's what that's like.
Been a minute. I'm a little old.
She's not that much older than me.
Well, I've been on the net since I did that. But they would also, so at the time, it wasn't common, but because of Aristotle and Plato, we know those guys, they're philosophers.
Yeah, those guys.
Yes, they would teach about like how the body like wasn't very necessary during the afterlife. So I guess at the time when they found that out, they're like, oh, cool. So we can like dissect the bodies because they won't need them.
Yeah.
So in Alexandria and Egypt, which didn't belong to Greece, but it was a Greek city because Alexander the Great established
conquered it.
Yes, conquered it. So I think there were Greek people in Alexandria, but in Alexandria they began the practice of dissecting dead bodies, and they would occasionally cut open living criminals. So I guess that's how they would kind of start seeing like how the body would work, and like they kind of learn some things I think about the veins and the blood pumping through the body. If you're a criminal, I think that would be probably the worst way to die.
What if you were like falsely accused?
Yeah. You probably were a lot in that time because they didn't have like DNA evidence and stuff like that. So it's like,
brother.
Yeah. So because like there were certain times in history like where you couldn't just get a dead body and dissect it. So
or a mummy.
Yeah. Or a mummy.
We learned about that as well.
We did. After people went through surgeries, one of the things that they proposed to do was eat celery because it was an anti-inflammatory plant. So celery.
Is that true?
I don't actually know if that's true. Let me look it up.
Is that real? Is this fake news I'm hearing?
Could be.
I feel like I could see it being real.
Is celery anti-inflammatory?
Inflammatory.
Yeah, inflammatory. Yes.
Wow.
Celery and celery seeds have approximately 25 anti-inflammatory compounds that can offer protection against inflammation in the body. Huh.
Cute.
I hate celery.
I also,
which makes sense why it would be a medicine.
You know yeah, it does. You know the what is it, ants on a log, where you put like peanut butter in the celery.
Peanut butter helps.
Well, no, you like put the peanut butter in the celery and then raisins on top.
Yeah.
I would pick the raisins off. I'd lick the peanut butter out of the celery and then I throw the celery away.
It is just a vessel.
I said I just want the peanut butter.
Really though?
Please and thank you.
Really though?
I didn't even eat the raisins.
Right. I don't like raisins either. Still,
yeah.
really. They're okay. Like I can do them like in some things. I just don't I don't
They're
love
not my
them.
fave.
They're not my fave either. So another thing that philosophers thought was that music was a good healing agent for panic attacks, fainting, epilepsy, and another philosopher thought flute music could heal bites from venomous snakes.
Now that's a stretch.
That's a stretch,
But music does have very healing properties.
yes, panic attacks. There is music therapy today. Like,
Yeah.
like
it's a
people have that.
literal
Yeah.
whole area. I think
Yeah.
I had a friend who was gonna go into music therapy. I
Yeah.
don't know if they did or not, but
for panic attacks, that makes sense because I always see this thing. There's like this song that you're supposed to listen to because it has like the right kind of rhythm that like calms you down.
there's not only is it the rhythm, but it's also like the pitch.
Oh, like
the pitch
'cause
also
pitch can affect
will
your-
like help
Yeah.
like even not even just with panic attacks, but pitch will help like you like people with ADHD focus.
Yeah.
If it's a certain pitch, it'll help you
Yeah.
focus or it'll like sometimes it causes you to freak out. But like,
that's where it's like sometimes they're like yes, and then it's like flute music could possibly heal venomous snakes. It's like what?
Well,
it was skilled flute music though. It couldn't just be
maybe if you put the one end of the flute on the snake bite and you sucked up through.
Yeah, you can get the poison
Used it
out.
like a straw, maybe. I don't know.
Another thing, because we had just talked about this, is that they used types of poison. Hellebore is one of them.
Hellebore sounds like you gonna be going to
Hell.
Yeah.
It was used for things like vomiting. I don't know if they meant to vomit or to like stop vomiting. Maybe to vomit. That would make sense.
Maybe it's like, oh, you don't feel, your stomach's upset here. Take this and then vomit.
Which would make sense. But it would be used.
Does help sometimes.
No, it does. Yeah. If you're feeling very sick, sometimes it's best just to vomit.
There's one time that I was sick, and I was sick as a dog.
Sick as a dog.
You know how like you're supposed to sip on, this is gross, I'm sorry, but you're supposed to like sip on like Sprite or something or whatever because like the carbonation. Mm-hmm. Well, I was feeling bad and I hate the build up to it, and I was like, let's just get this over with. So I chugged my Sprite to make myself have to expel it.
I'd rather just not. I hate puking. I hate it.
I hate the build up to puking.
Yeah, so does Wes. He's the same as you. He'll be like, I just want to get it over with.
Puking itself, it's like, okay, let me just chug this really quick so I throw up.
Disgusting.
Let me just vom. Fast.
Let me just vom. They also thought that this poison could help with lung issues and gynecological issues. That's a hard word to say.
That is a really hard word to say.
But it is toxic. And if you use too much, you will die.
Oh, cute. Is it like good in small doses? Because like that's like morphine. You don't want like
I think it was something like that. Like they would use it for these things, but it is also toxic. And it's proposed because we've talked about this in the episode that I did on it. It said, "Oh, could this have been what killed Alexander the Great?" Because if you remember, they didn't know what was wrong with him, and if he was being administered like medicine, like poison, maybe that's what caused him to die. So just referencing that back.
Or maybe somebody purposely gave him too much of it.
Exactly. Because it was proposed that he was poisoned. I mean, and so if a doctor was like,
if the doctor was like, don't give him too much of this, he will die, and then they overheard that, and then they that could totally have happened.
Yes, it could have.
Because in that time there was a drafty room. Your voice carries.
Yeah.
I heard everything you just said.
I heard it. Now, this one's so weird and I do not understand it. There was something they believed in called the wandering womb. And they thought that like the womb moved within the woman.
The womb?
The womb, like W-O-M-B.
So like what your child grows in.
I assume, I guess it's like when she's pregnant. I guess. But the wandering womb, was that like just like a baby kicking? Or was this just like in general? Because it didn't seem as if it was just a baby. So I was confused, but they would think that the womb would like get in the wrong position, I guess. And one guy referred to it as an animal within an animal. I don't understand. I read this in one place and I was like, what the heck?
I'm confused.
What does this mean? Because they were trying to get the womb in the right position. So I wonder if it was the baby, like the baby was flipped the wrong way.
Like if the baby was breached.
Maybe. But it didn't say anything about a baby when I was reading about it. So I was like, what? What does this mean? But to help whatever this was, they would like get something that was either really disgusting smelling or like something that like smelled sweet, and they would put it by the woman's nose or her groin area,
her vagina.
Sure, yes, and they would hope that smell would like turn the womb or something. They would also sit
logic.
Yes. They would also have something called womb fumigation, where they would sit like on a hot pot containing like the fragrance.
So it got up in there.
It got up in there, and that would help the womb get in the right position as well. So
that makes more sense. It was when it was a baby. Just letting her sniff it.
Yeah, or putting it down there, because what would that do?
You can't breathe through that hole.
Yes, you cannot. Also, sorry, that was just like, that one was just so weird to me.
That's bizarre.
Didn't know what it meant really, but I wanted to mention it because it sounded weird. For pain while you're teething, I guess for like babies.
Yeah.
They would use the brain of a hare, which is a type of rabbit, like the big rabbit.
Okay, I was like, what?
Yes.
You lost me.
The brain of a hare.
A hare, like the rabbit. Like the tortoise in the hare.
Yes. And they would either mix it in food or they would spread it into your gums. So that was supposed to help. I don't know why. And they would...
Don't you also put like an egg in a sock and hang it above their bed?
What?
Yeah.
For what? Teething?
Teething.
How would that help?
I don't know. It's a wives' tale. I've seen it.
It's a wives' tale, yeah.
I don't remember.
We need to do one on that specific kind of medicine.
I don't remember if it's like an egg or... I think it's an egg.
A wives' tale, see, like that doesn't... What does that do? But like these, at least they were like actually like, okay, there was calcium in the eggshell, so they would put it on the teeth. You know, like that kind of makes sense. But like an egg in a sock just hanging above the bed... Like, that's just superstition.
Someone probably had an egg in a sock hanging above their bed, and their kids stopped crying when they were teething, and they were like, oh, this works.
Who just puts an egg in a sock? Who knows?
I don't know.
They would also propose to put, like, the babies to wear bracelets made out of this type of plant called colocynth, but the plant was poisonous. So I'm like, that seems like a really bad idea.
Survival of the fittest.
Yes, the baby's just like, I'm going to chew on. Like,
let me suck on this real quick.
I don't know if, like... The bracelet, it said it was in it, so maybe it like had like a locket and it was just in it, but still, like I feel like that's dangerous to put like poison in a bracelet that a baby would be wearing. Like that seems like a very bad idea.
There's a reason that like certain cleaning products, you don't clean for you don't keep around your children. It says keep out of reach of children.
Yeah, because they will eat it.
They'll put that in their mouth and then they'll die.
Yes. So an important concept for Egyptian and Greek medicine, which also carried over into our medieval period, which we're going to talk about, is bloodletting, which is where you think there's too much excess blood in the body, and then they put they would either cut your vein or they would use leeches.
I've heard leeches. I didn't know they cut the vein.
Yeah, they would. Well, if it was like, oh, we need to get a lot of this blood out, they would cut, and then if they just needed a little, they would put the leech on you. So,
could you imagine the feeling of a leech?
No, I don't know how people do it. It's so disgusting. So anything with like animals, like live living creatures, like put on your body. Yeah. Count me out for eternity. Like we know what your hell looks like. Yes. Literally. Yes. Maggots. Yeah. Maggots and leeches and
all of the bugs.
Yes. All the bugs. Yes. Another belief, you could tell a baby's gender if by the skin of the woman having the baby. If she has freckles, it's a girl. If she has clear skin, it's a boy. And I was confused because I thought freckles just stayed.
I have freckles year round.
Yeah, I have freckles year round. I don't know if they maybe meant other blemishes, but it said freckles. Maybe it meant like acne. You know, like you would have a girl.
Because I've always heard the like if you're having a girl. Wait, which one's which?
If freckles for girl.
Okay, so I've always heard it's probably just other blemishes. Too, yeah, because I've always heard that like. The wives' tale again. Right. This is like wives' tale-ish. If you're having a girl, she'll steal your beauty. If you're having a boy, you'll glow.
Oh. Okay. Yeah. So there might be something too. Yeah. Maybe the hormones that go on. Yeah. While you're having a girl. Yeah. Then they also, for birth control in Greece, the proposal was you jump backwards 7 times after the deed, and that will help you not have a baby.
Actually, I can see it.
What? Oh, like getting it out?
Yeah. I can see it. Isn't it? Actually, that would make sense to me.
I watched part of the show Victoria. I never finished it, but doesn't she like jump up and down afterward?
I don't know. I never watched
it. Oh, okay. She like does something like that. Like she jumps up and down like to try and stop having the baby. Yeah.
Because then there's also the thing where like you see in like the old shows where it's like have sex upside down or you know like
to try
and let the gravity do the work.
Prevent. You know? Yeah. So that was their birth control. They also believed that physical pain could be a result of the body not being able to digest certain foods. So like the thing that we thought you had.
Yeah.
I
know about that.
Yeah, the physical pain could be caused by that. Like the body could not digest certain foods, so they thought that's where physical pain came from. I don't know what they did for it. I don't know if they avoided certain foods. Not sure.
Probably got told they had this, and then they avoided foods for 5 years, and then found out, oh, just kidding, you don't have this.
You're good.
You just were.
She's not better.
You were going through it, and your stomach was upset because of that, and now you're not going through it, and you haven't had these foods for 5 years, and that's why it hurts when you eat them.
Exactly. There were also numbers that they believed were important, had meanings in life, and this was because of a guy named Pythagoras. He was a mathematician. They believed
Is that like the Pythagorean theorem?
Yeah, that's where he comes. Okay. Where it comes from. He's the mathematician. They thought that 4 and 7 in particular were important or holy. So babies whose birthdays were in the 7th month would be healthier. They believe the quarantine period should be 40 because it was considered a revered number because it had the 4 in it. So if you quarantined, you had to quarantine for 40 days. Not 2 weeks, 40 days. And then they also, because they believed 7 times 4 equals 28, which is the lunar month, and it's the menstrual cycle as well. So they think that's a holy thing because that's natural cycle of things.
Is that, wait, hold on,
stop,
pause,
wait, stop.
Immediately pause.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay.
Immediately pause.
You're telling me we get our fertility cycle like window
with the lunar month
from an old dude believing 4 times 7
was holy?
Well,
I mean, it was already that. Like, I mean, their cycle was 28 days, and he just thought that they thought that these numbers were holy because of that. I guess. She's like, huh?
But is it actually 28 days?
Usually in between, yeah.
Have we scientifically backed this up, or are we just going based off
this is Pythagoras, so I mean, it's,
it's math. That's true. It's
lunar month.
That's true.
And what is it? The minge?
Maybe I'm stupid, but I didn't actually take a health class.
Girl, same.
So
the lunar cycle and menstrual cycle are roughly similar in length, but they don't always sync up. The time it takes for the moon to complete a full cycle of phases, which is about 29.5 days.
Hold up again. Okay. The lunar cycle, the moon cycle, they're saying that links up with your fertility cycle.
But it's not always the case because it's not the same for every person.
It's not the same for every person.
But it's just
like a lot of times it depends on like when in the month you're born.
Exactly.
They're saying that lines up. So is that where we get like the full moon is like crazy?
Oh my gosh. Maybe because it makes you like,
because your hormones.
Yeah.
Is that where we get that from?
Maybe.
Okay, cool. Sorry.
Probably. We should look into that.
Totally derailed
Every single thing we think of, and then you think of like, is this where this comes from? I'm like, I don't know. Maybe. We need to look into it.
I'm so sorry.
This would be 3 hours long. No, you're fine.
We can just have like a live one time where we're just Googling everything.
Right. Like you guys we're going to Google it all. So this other guy named Empedocles.
Okay.
He established the belief of earth, water, fire, and air, which was like everything is made.
Airbender.
Yes, he's the airbender. Okay. Everything you see in the natural world are made of these elements, essentially.
Earth,
something like
fire,
that. Earth,
water, and
fire.
air.
Yes.
Okay.
So from this, they took this kind of belief and they're like, so this is like what everything on Earth is made out of. So the body, it contains these things they called the 4 humors. Perhaps you've heard of this. Maybe you haven't.
You're going to have to tell me first.
So humors were fluids the body consisted of. And it was...
Fluids the body? Okay.
Yes, and I'll name them in a second, and they're not pleasant. It was thought that if these things were out of balance or not in harmony with each other, that's when you were sick, okay? So you needed these liquids or whatever in your body, these fluids, to be in perfect balance for you to be in good health, okay? Now, these humors were blood, okay, makes sense.
Naturally.
Phlegm,
cute,
yellow bile, and black bile.
What is black bile?
I do not know. But they associated each of the humors, they were tied with a certain organ of the body, a natural element, and a season. So let's get into which ones go with which.
I'm sorry. Okay. Blood.
Black bile.
Phlegm.
Yes. Those two make sense.
Yellow bile. And black bile. The only time I've ever seen yellow bile, I guess that's vomit.
Yeah. I see like yellow bile on a dog.
I think dog when I think yellow bile.
Yes, me too.
I've never seen black.
I haven't either. But apparently black bile is thought to have to do with your spleen.
Oh.
So I don't know what comes out of your spleen.
I guess our spleen is healthy.
Yes. If you don't have black bile, your spleen is healthy. Yellow bile has to do with the gallbladder, which
makes sense.
Yeah. Blood, the liver, and phlegm, the head, which
congestion.
Yeah, makes sense.
Mucus.
And then the associated blood is associated with air, phlegm with water, yellow bile with fire, and black bile with earth. Don't know why.
Black bile makes sense.
With earth.
Phlegm makes sense because it's clear.
Water. And then yellow with fire. That makes sense. And the blood with air. I mean, oxygen. I guess it oxygenates your body, but I don't think they knew that.
I don't think they knew that either.
And then your temperament had to do with the certain fluids being in balance or not. So this is like your first personality test, might I say.
Okay.
Almost, because if you had black bile, the temper of black bile, so I guess if black bile was like imbalanced in your body, you had a melancholy temperament, which was your introspective.
I could see that.
Yeah, you're introspective, you're quiet, Yellow is called choleric, and that's when you're irritable. So that causes you to be irritable. Phlegm is phlegmatic.
Oh.
Phlegmatic, which means you're relaxed.
Okay.
And blood is sanguine, which means you're optimistic or social. So.
I don't see the correlation, but sure.
I don't either. But that's what they believe. They believe that those certain things that also cause temperaments, okay? And Hippocrates believed kind of in this theory, and he kind of expanded upon it. It existed before him, and then he expanded upon it. And because he believed in these, he would often taste the earwax, pus, or urine from the person, and he smelt their poop and vomits to try to see what was going on in the body, if there was imbalance. Yeah.
I
delicious.
wish you could see my face right now. I am
taste
pained.
Sample it.
That hurt to hear.
I'm sorry.
That's heinous.
Can you imagine if you were a doctor and you had to taste people's urine to figure out what was wrong with them? Actually, pus is probably...
Stop.
That's probably the worst.
Stop.
She said stop.
Jail. You're going to jail. Stop.
I knew you would enjoy this topic so
putting
much.
You in jail. You're done. Moving on. Anyways.
Middle Ages, medieval period. So medieval period, long time, 476 to 1453. So we're talking about from like the 5th to 15th centuries. The Middle Ages is as they are called. So in 1350, the average life expectancy was 30 to 35 years old.
That's not long at all.
Not long. And birth expectancy, so like children children that would live after birth, 1 in 5 died.
Oh no.
It's not good. We're not looking at a great time.
That's no bueno.
We're not looking at a very good time for medicine, I don't think.
It's not a good survival rate.
No.
Period.
At 30, I would be dead.
Yeah.
Like literally I'd live my life.
Ancient.
Yes. I would. I'd be like, I'm 30, I'm good, I've lived. I didn't die in childbirth.
You're still alive, so you'd be ancient.
I would be ancient.
I'd be elderly.
You'd be pushing it. Yeah. Yeah. So they had lots of different, obviously, beliefs about what caused sicknesses. Obviously, there was some supernatural punishment with it, because you think about it at this time. Also, it's like when the church expanded into the Catholic Church, all that too. So we'll talk about some of that. But they believed in supernatural punishment. They believed in astrology or celestial bodies affecting your health. They also carried over the imbalance of the humors. So from Greek times, they also adopted this theory.
Okay.
And they thought like bad air would cause sickness. I don't know what that is. Maybe pollution.
What is bad air?
I don't know. Maybe pollution.
What qualifies as What qualifies as bad air?
When you pass gas.
Being crop dusted.
Right. So because they also believed in religious things, the church became a central thing for healing. So, penance, pilgrimages. You would go to churches to so like saints, when they died, would leave like relics, like some possessions that they had.
Yeah.
And so people would travel
to touch those
to
relics.
go touch it because they believed that they had healing properties. So that was like one of the religious aspects. And they also saw church as church. They also saw church as a disease. They also the church saw sickness and disease as a punishment from God, and that's why you had to do penance for those, because that's how you would be forgiven and get rid of the sickness. Mm-hmm.
It's like sometimes people just have the sniffles.
Mm-hmm. No,
here's
a punishment.
Heaven forbid.
Right. So there's this book that they're like digitizing.
Digitalizing?
I cannot speak.
It's been a long day.
It has. There's this book that they're working. I don't know if it's still. It was like in 2022 when this article was written, and they're like digitizing this book that is from the medieval period that is like has all these like medical things in them and stuff, and they're like gonna put it online. But it had like a little like I don't know if it was like an index, but it was like showing like certain cures, and some of them I just thought were funny. It was listed as, okay, so I guess you would be looking for like, what do I need to heal? Mm-hmm. So it had a list, and it says, for vanity of the head, and I don't know what that is. What is it? For evil hearing.
Oh.
For to slay worms that eat the eyelids.
For to slay.
For to slay worms that eat the eyelids.
For to slay your eyelid worms.
And I just wanted to share that. I didn't get a lot out of that one because I think that they're like, it was just kind of explaining like what they're doing with the project. But I thought it was just so funny that they said for to slay worms. So I had to include that.
For to slay worms.
Now let's get into the cures.
That's
and remedies.
fun.
Let's get.
I like that one.
Yeah,
what was the other thing we said earlier? I can't remember.
The for to.
No, that's what we just said.
I know
for to slay.
I know. For to slay.
For to slay.
We said it earlier.
Yeah, we said it like 2 seconds ago.
What was it? I don't know. This one has been
remember.
so long. I can't even remember what we were talking about at the beginning.
I can't either.
Let me see.
It was Greece.
Greece?
No, Egypt. It was Egypt.
Oh, the shepherd of the anus, maybe?
Yes.
Yeah.
The shepherd of the anus.
Yeah, that was a good one.
My guy.
My guy. So bloodletting was obviously popular in the medieval period. The letting out of excess blood.
Yeah, the
humors.
The bugs.
The leeches, yes.
Yes.
So this is when they were saying, if you need a little blood, leeches. If you need a lot of blood, we're going to cut you. Oof.
Gross.
They also believed in purging, so that with laxatives. So I guess you would just...
Oh, so like a detox.
Poop out all the stuff. And cupping, which is that the same as like that thing where they put those...
the things on your back.
Is that what it's called? Yeah. What did you think it was?
Nothing.
Totally, okay.
We're not going to talk about it. Continue.
Cover her mouth, and I'm so scared.
Said, oh no.
I think it must have been like something like it didn't really explain it, but I assume that
like
thing,
a hot massage.
Yeah, like where they put
the
that scares me.
They like light it on fire and then they put it on your skin. Not while it's on fire. They take the thing out and then they put it on your.
Yeah, they didn't go into details, but I assume that's what it was, but maybe it's not. Maybe it was something different during that time. So they would also, when someone got sick, they believed like if like what month you got sick in, it would help you determine the diagnosis. So like they would refer to astrology. So if it was like, oh, you got sick in like, let's say the sign was like Libra or something, then that would determine what diagnosis they would give you.
Like how do you have examples?
So in the article that I was reading, I didn't write it down, but let me see if I can remember it. It was like if it was Pisces, that had to do with the lymphatic system. Okay. So they would like treat that, even if that wasn't at all what you were doing. So I don't know what they would do.
Okay.
I also read another one where they would base it on like the month you were born in, and there was like a list. And if you were born in a certain month, they'd be like, avoid cutting the face, or like it was like all this like list of things that it like would tell you to avoid. So they would use like astrology to determine what they should do with certain patients.
Interesting.
Which I think is so weird.
That's bizarre.
They also believe that the planets affected the body. The moon could alter elements in your body. Mm-hmm. And so that...
Yeah, that's like astrology.
Astrology, yes. Yeah. So I'll talk about it a little later again. But I did want to mention this, and we've already gone over this so much, so I'm going to try to keep it short. But you know how Mummy Nibbles... that
if you haven't checked out Mummy Nibbles, go listen to Mummy Nibbles.
Yes.
It's our first ever episode, so go check it out.
But I did want to mention that executioners would get the bodies of criminals and they would grind down the like bones and the fat. They like extracted the fat from them and melted it down.
Yeah.
And they would later use the like fat for arthritis.
Oh God.
Or like gout. They would create mixtures.
Oh yeah. I think we've heard about that before. I don't know.
Yeah. I was like,
I can't remember which one of us was talking about it, but I feel like we've talked about how fat was used to help treat gout.
Yeah. And I don't want to like repeat
maybe it was
things
me
that you
for
said mummy nibbles.
Yeah.
So I was like,
no, repeat away.
But they did do things like that. Like they believed in homeopathy, which was the same idea as in Egypt, where that like cures like. So if it looked like it healed it.
It healed it.
So if you had issues with your head, like a headache, ground up skull.
Eat the brain. Yeah.
Or
the skull.
In the mummy, I think it was like eat the brain or whatever.
Or ground up skull. Either way.
Right.
No, I did talk about that a little bit.
I think so, because I remembered that. I was like, I think she talked about this.
If you're having stomach issues, you need to eat a portion of the stomach.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So this idea, like, it carried over from Egypt as well. But it would also be like, okay, you could, if you had issues with the skull, there was these seeds called a skull cap, and apparently it looks like tiny skulls, but I looked it up and it didn't look anything like that. But like you could eat that. Like, you could do, if it looked like it, you could eat it. So like, I don't know, like as an example, like think about kidney beans. Like they kind of look like a kidney. Like maybe they help the kidney.
That's why they're called kidney beans.
Yeah. So like maybe they help the kidney. Maybe I should go eat kidneys,
Yeah.
Not kidneys, kidney beans.
She's going to turn into a cannibal and she's going to go eat all of your kidneys.
I cannot imagine why they would just think this is so normal to grind up a body and then eat it, or put the fat of a human on your arthritic joints, everyone.
Yeah, no.
Oh, and they also thought that ground up skull could help epilepsy and apoplexy. Is that how you say it? Yeah. You might have mentioned that before too.
I know I mentioned epilepsy.
Yeah. Sorry, I'm repeating it.
Hey, we got new people.
Right.
So.
And I think you also mentioned this too, is the moss. The usnia. Did you mention this? The usnia? Maybe. Where it was the moss was like actually like would be added to these things, like to the ground up skulls or whatever.
Yes.
And so it's like that actually enhanced their immune systems because it has like properties that does that.
Yeah.
Yeah. So like that was probably helping them and not the actual corpses.
Right.
I think you mentioned that.
The actual ground up skull didn't do anything.
Yes. So this was actually happening in the medieval times as well as in when you did it, you were talking mainly about the Victorian right period. Yeah. So go check that out. It's a cool episode. I just wanted to mention that was also happening in medieval times.
Crazy
Disgusting.
Wild.
Let's talk about the urine again.
Go piss, girl.
So because they also believed in the four humors in the medieval times, which was like the imbalance of the
blood and the
phlegm
and the bile and the bile.
Disgusting. Doctors had like created this chart, like this little wheel of different colors of people's pee.
Color wheel of pee?
Of pee.
Cute.
And I'll show you the picture in a second because it's actually kind of fun. But it would show it is with the drawing, because it's like a little drawing, like a medieval manuscript of That's just cute. These different peas. But they would mention what the color, the taste, and the smell was. So the taste, they would describe it.
Gross.
That they could use to diagnose the patient. So they would literally like compare the pee and the taste to this chart. And I have it.
That's so gross.
It's so disgusting. I know. Also, some of the colors on this chart, I'm like, if you have that color,
if you have that color urine, it's blue.
There's a blue one. I know.
It's blue. There's a lot of different shades. That one is like gray.
Yeah, I'm like, I've never seen any kind of
blue,
pee.
And then a different color gray.
And I guess this like over here would be the
brown.
Like, I think this would describe like maybe this is like the taste and the smell, and then like you go over here and that's like would diagnose it. I guess.
Like,
that's what it looks like to me.
Yeah.
Isn't that crazy? Look, that one is brown.
It's brown. You got poop in your urine.
There's also black. Like straight up black.
Like pee. Straight up black. And then
the blue confuses me.
Well, the pink.
Okay,
well, the brown could also be blood, I feel like.
That's true. That's what I'm saying. The pink, it could be blood is in your pee.
Yeah.
But the blue? What is the blue?
I would like to know what the blue is.
I would too. I cannot read that because it's
it's in a different language.
Latin or something, which would make sense because it's medieval times. So I don't know if it's Latin or whatever. But I thought that was fun.
Yeah.
The thing that disgusts me is that they would say what the taste was.
Yeah, that's gross.
So...
Because, like, who in the right mind is going to think, this person is sick and they're coming to me. Let me drink a bodily fluid that's coming out of them and I'm not going to get sick.
Yeah. Yeah.
You never know.
Although, like, regular pee, speaking of it, is, like, sterile.
It is.
And they would, like, because I was reading, I didn't include this, but, like, in battle, like, soldiers would, like...
Pee on each other.
Yeah. On their wounds.
Yeah.
Because it would, like, clean it out.
Yeah.
which, speaking of, they would use urine for insect bites, sores, and burns. But it had to be fresh urine to apply to it.
Well, yeah, because, I mean, it is, yeah. That makes sense.
It is. Unless it's diseased.
Why would you drink it?
Yeah, exactly. That's not good for you.
Yeah.
And also, women applied their own urine to their skin for, like, beautifying purposes.
Oh, no.
Yes, they would.
Immediately
Can you imagine?
out.
That's probably why they were, first of all, they didn't take baths in the medieval period, like, ever. So they're
they
rubbing.
stank.
Yeah. Can you imagine? That's why they would carry, well, I don't know if it was in this time, but, like, later on, that's how, like, flowers that you carried at your wedding came into, because you'd cover the smell. Good. Yeah. So,
which, I'm sorry, but flowers don't smell that strong.
Yeah, they're not. It's not gonna. If you have crocodile poop in you, if you have pee on your skin,
crocodile poop. No, let's listen to how vile this is. You got crocodile poop and spoiled milk up your hoo-ha. You've been rubbing urine all over your body.
Yep. You are gonna smell disgusting.
You are not. That. How did?
Not to mention the garlic.
On top of that, you're eating garlic because you're congested, or because you have asthma, and onions because you have a toothache.
Right. So,
I'm sorry. How did we survive
as a species?
How was that not so repulsive?
How has humanity survived?
I'm sorry. You smell like onions, garlic, urine. Yeah. Animal feces and rotten milk. I'm not
getting near you.
I'm standing as far away as possible.
You know, today we're like, oh, my breast stings a little bit.
I know. It's like, I think I got my,
Let me get some mints. Like, can you imagine? Like, I have a bad tooth right now, as you know, that I need a root canal. So it's like, yeah, that causes, like, the decay causes, like, me to smell. And I'm, like, very self-conscious about that. I'm like, but then just to imagine.
Let you know right now, I've never smelled your breath.
Thank God.
So you're good. You're good.
At least it's not like, you know, I have awful urine spread
it's not
on my
like
skin.
You have urine all over you.
Yeah.
It's not like you've been rolling around
and
in your own pee.
Smells. Like, if you...
It does smell.
Ugh.
And I know they weren't drinking enough water.
Yeah, and you know that if it was that blue pee...
Oh, gosh.
What was in that?
Well, and the red pee, too.
Ew, blood.
Did you know that there's some... Sorry, we're sidetracked
It's
again.
Okay.
There's some cultures where, like, you get your first period... You take the blood from
Please don't tell me.
No, you take the blood from that period and you rub it on your face and you'll never have acne.
Oh my gosh. I thought you were going to say they were going to drink it or something.
No.
But that's gross enough.
That's
on your... Okay.
Yeah, you rub it on
But does it actually work? No.
Oh? I didn't do it. Let me be clear.
Ew.
I've never... I mean, I didn't know about it until I was older. But, like,
right.
No, I know that this... I heard it from a professor... And they had a friend who did it.
Actually did it?
Yeah. And they never, ever struggled with acne.
How long do you leave it on?
I don't know. It's a different culture, you know?
Yeah.
But they were like, yeah, no, I didn't know about that. And then, because we were talking about, like, cultures and stuff. And there's also a culture where, like, when you get your period, you have to be slapped.
Yeah. Oh. I'm sorry.
I'm honor.
Also, just to say, I'm not trying to, like, insult anyone's culture. I just, like, personally, I'm also OCD and have anything like that is like, ugh, like, I couldn't deal with.
Yeah.
But
I was like, dang, I wish I would have known about that.
Felina was like, I'm not gonna do it. Like, I mean, at least it's your own.
Yeah, it's your own. It's
you're not like tasting
else's.
Other people's urine or something. Well, you're not even tasting it.
You're not putting it. Yeah, you're just rubbing it on your face.
Yeah. I personally could not, but
I don't think I could either.
Yeah, personally,
I think that's gross.
I personally could not. I guess guys are just out of luck.
Yeah, sorry, dude. You got acne.
Yeah, you're gonna have acne. They also use something called, I'm gonna say this wrong, trepanning. It's when you drill a hole in the skull. What is that called?
A lobotomy.
Sure.
Kidding.
You were alive. I don't know how you say it.
Let me see it. Where are we? What?
Right there. That word.
Trepanning?
Trepanning?
Sure.
I don't know. I just feel like trepanning is like, I had to say that with an accent. Trepanning. But anyways, it was where they would drill a hole in the skull, but it was to get the demons out of you.
To get the demons.
Yes, I decided to say it that way. Yeah, so they would think that it was like if you had, it would help with mental illness, supposedly, and
it's the mental illness,
and it would help with like getting rid of pressure in the brain. So they would just drill a hole in your skull, and I guess they thought that the demons would come out or whatever. So that's why also alive? Mental illness. Yeah, you're alive because it helps with mental illness and stuff.
You're alive for a lobotomy too.
I mean, I guess they wouldn't hit your brain. They would just do the skull and hope that would
release everything.
Yeah, release the baddies.
Yeah, I get those diamonds out of you.
The one spirit that we won't say again.
No.
Yeah. So that was one of them. I think that sounds super painful.
Well, yeah.
Yeah.
Probably passed out.
Yeah. Yeah. And yeah, that's the thing is that I will talk about they did have a form of anesthesia, but you probably passed out from the pain in the middle of the surgery more times than not. Because they probably didn't have the right things to actually.
You probably blocked it out of your memory too. So.
Yep. Also, they also took Greek and Egyptian ideas very much so in the medieval times, and one of them was the moldy bread on the wounds.
Ew.
But one country, Poland, in the medieval ages, they took it up a notch, in the medieval ages. I had that written down. They would take it up a notch. They would wrap spider webs around the moldy bread and then put it on you. I'm like, how'd you get that much spider web?
Are you sitting there like silking the spider?
Yeah, like what?
Maybe they did.
They probably like tore it down, and maybe they did silk spider. I don't know. How do you do that? That's disgusting. Yeah. I hate spiders, so mold and spiders is like my worst.
And I feel like what if they bite you?
Yeah. I mean, they probably weren't getting like the really, I don't know, what kind of
poisonous ones.
What kind of spiders do they have in Poland? I don't know.
I don't know either.
I don't really know. They also had this thing called dwale that they would use. This is the anesthetic that I was talking about. Okay. It was their attempt at an anesthetic. And it was used from the Roman times until the medieval period. So for a very long time. The ingredients were, are you ready? Wild lettuce.
What?
Lettuce. Okay.
Wild lettuce?
Yeah, sure. Just lettuce that grew.
Okay.
Probably just lettuce, but in that time it just grew wherever, I guess.
All right.
A boar bile or pig bile.
Ew. That's gross.
Yeah. Bryony. I don't know what that is.
Don't know what that is. Don't
either.
I'm scared.
It's fine. Mandrake root. Okay. Opium. Henbane, which is another type of poison, I believe. Vinegar and hemlock, which was also another type of poison. And they would combine each of these things. So they would take each of these things individually, put it with water.
Dying, basically.
Yes. It would make you pass out before the surgery so the doctor could do the surgery.
Again, though, what was the survival rate on this thing?
That's what they were saying. They were like, yeah, lots of them, they passed out, but the survival rate afterward, they didn't record.
Did they come back up to life?
Right. But the kicker is they would not only combine all these things together, they would take each of them, put them in water, boil it down, then mix it all together, and then they would take a concoction and put it in wine and then have you drink it. So
it probably tasted bad.
Yeah, probably. And it also, I think, because the alcohol would like enhance the poison or something. Like it would like
alcohol is
poison anyway.
Yeah, you're gonna get like you drink a strong enough alcohol.
Yeah.
You're gonna. I don't know what their timetable was, but you could pass out.
You would. Yes. So they would pass out, and sometimes it would cause death because there was poison in it.
No.
Literal poison.
Really?
Yes, you saw that coming.
People died?
Yeah.
I'm shocked. Dang it. Yep. I didn't know that was going to happen at all.
Could not have predicted.
Never in my wildest dreams.
And let us move on to cataracts. There was a treatment.
Eyeballs.
Yes, your eyeballs. There was a treatment in the Cambridge study that they were doing that I was talking about, where they would also take a gallbladder from a hare, the rabbit again, and combine it with honey. And then you had to use a feather and you would put it on your eye for 3 nights. And that would, I guess, get rid of the cataracts.
I could see the honey.
Yeah.
I could also see the hare gallbladder causing an infection.
Yes. What is in the gallbladder? Isn't that like where all the nasties go?
All I know is you don't need it.
Yeah. Oh. You don't need your Yeah, that's true, I guess.
No.
You don't need your appendix for sure.
Like half of my family doesn't have their gallbladder.
That's crazy. I thought it like the gallbladder like got like toxins out of your body or something like that.
I don't know.
Or something. I'm not sure.
I just know you don't need it.
I'm really bad at anatomy.
I know that after you don't have it.
Yeah, you're fine.
No, after you don't have it, if you eat something, you better go to the bathroom.
Oh.
Especially if you eat something with a lot of butter. Oh, yeah. You better.
You be going.
You either need to get on and go, or you need to hang out until you're done, you know?
Yeah. To store bile.
To store bile? What is that?
The gallbladder's primary function is to store bile, a fluid produced by the liver, which is then released into the small intestine to help break down and digest fats and food. Essentially, it acts as a storage facility for bile until it's needed during digestion.
So what happens?
Particularly when consuming fatty meals.
Yeah.
So if you don't have your gallbladder and it can't use the bile to digest the butter,
you're going.
You're gone.
It's a poo emergency.
Yeah. So yeah, essentially it's just like, oh, I don't have that, so it can't help you like digest that in the correct slow way or something like that. Yeah. I'm really bad at like the body's functions, so I always have to review like
again, I didn't have a proper health class.
Yeah, I had like a health class, but it was like me reading it and I don't remember any of it. And I don't think it was actually like all health stuff.
Yeah.
Anyway, I needed an anatomy class is what I needed. Anyway, so here's another one that you will so love. And I will note before I say this one, a lot of this first one was from like one source, but then I did look up like a few other sources and like I found other portions of it. So like, I don't know how often they use this or like if it was like completely accurate, but it was used topically at least, for sure. Okay. But doctors in medieval times used animal poop.
Yeah, to prevent pregnancy.
Yes, they suggested something called Greek white for sore throat, lung issues, and tonsillitis. And Greek white was apparently the white coating around dog poop when it dries. And so when I read later on, it's like they would use this topically, but this one doesn't sound like a topical thing. That's why I was like, I only read this in one spot, so I don't know if they I have no idea how they used it. I don't know if they ate it, if they rubbed it on. I'm not sure, but it says for toothache.
Rub it on. Oh.
So I'm like,
you rub it on your tooth.
Yeah. So I'm like, so they're kind of eating it, or unless they just did it on their face or something.
I don't know.
Yeah. It could also be put on skin as treatment for tumors.
Sure.
Poop will get rid of the tumors. The most common animal poop sold in London shops was dog, horse, or cow dung. Because I read that there were some that like called for like elephant dung and they like didn't really have access to that all the time.
Right.
So
yeah.
I mean, cows, horses, and dogs, they'd be probably pooping in your streets all the time. Mm-hmm. So that's what they would get. They would also use mice poop to treat intestinal worms, which I feel like would give you worms.
Yep.
Yeah.
No, isn't it mice don't actually carry?
They actually don't. I think they actually don't.
Mice don't carry anything.
But why is their droppings? Like we always talk about how like nasty their droppings are. I thought like because don't you have to like because mice poop you don't want like near your food at all.
I think like, any poop you don't want near your food at all, Hannah.
I don't really.
I think
but like you know like when mice like get into pantries and they poop or like things like that, like you really have to like throw stuff away and clean it and stuff.
Well, you throw the stuff away because they've gotten into it.
Yeah, but if they don't, but they're not actually as like dangerous as
like if they
rats are.
Rats are dangerous, but like if they poop in your cupboard, but they haven't actually like gotten into anything.
Girl, I won't even touch my drawer still at work because of the mice poop.
I know. I think that you need to touch the drawer.
I don't want to. I don't feel like I didn't clean it good enough.
Hannah, it's been months. It's been almost a year
since that mouse. I don't think it's been a year, but it's been a while.
Almost. I don't
like mice poop.
Almost. It's been close.
And then they would also use oxen poop for rheumatism and fevers, and sheep poop for jaundice. Jaundice.
Yeah.
So I guess if you had yellow skin, rub it on.
Yeah.
But they would also combine the animal poop with wax, eggs, or lard for spreading on. So that helps, I guess.
So it's not just poop.
Yeah. It's waxy poop. It's
So it's harder to get off. And on top of
and has eggs in it.
And on top of this, you're not bathing.
Yeah.
Like we do.
Can you imagine the flies? Like,
my gosh, that's awful.
So that's the delicious one. Now, for the last two, we're finally there, guys. There was this thing that they used called a snail syrup. It would be used for coughs and I guess put on burns, wounds. It was used for gastrointestinal ulcers and sore throats. So they would go out and they would collect snails in their garden. Apparently they just had lots of snails. They would get rid of the shells, and I guess I read like where they would slit them. So I guess I don't know if they would slit them long ways or they would cut them up, one of those things, and then they would put them in a bag, a half pound of sugar.
Wait, they're putting they're cutting the snails open?
Yes.
Okay.
So they cut the snail. Okay. What did you think it was?
I thought the person.
Oh gosh,
I was
no.
like,
no. Oh my gosh. Can you imagine if they put the snails like in you?
Yeah, that's what I thought you were going with that.
They get rid of the snail shells and they slit open the snails.
Okay, and then they put them in sugar.
They put them in sugar, and then they put something under it.
And then you eat them.
It I guess it melts the snail, because it doesn't salt. Like melt snail. So I guess the sugar has the same.
Shrivel up.
Yeah, it makes them shrivel up. And so like whatever drips out, they would gather and then they would use that. They would use that juice.
And drink it.
I guess drink it, yeah, because they did have like for like coughs and the ulcers.
Yeah.
So they would drink it or they would like put it on. And they would also use snail secretion, which is like the gloopy stuff that comes out of the snail for like skin treatment for women. Which, didn't we talk about that?
I get that, actually.
Because remember when I was like looking for videos of like the med spas and there were snails on the women and I was like freaking out. Do you remember that?
Yeah.
And you were like, they actually use that like as a treat. I was like, why is this happening?
Yeah.
So like, yeah, I guess they would use it for like skin ointment.
Yeah.
So there you go.
Yep.
I think the poop is probably the worst.
Yeah. The poo-poo? The caca? No. We don't do that.
But snail syrup, ugh.
That's not as bad.
Well, some people eat snails. I don't understand.
I was about to say, snails are a delicacy in certain places.
I don't understand. Once again, not trying to insult anyone's culture. It's just not appealing. Bad. Yeah, it's just not appealing to me. I would not enjoy it.
I think it's the spoiled milk up your hoo-ha.
The spoiled milk or the crocodile dung?
Both. That
I
love
how you like the sour milk. Yeah, that whole concoction.
The spoiled milk concoction is
the Egyptian birth control
heinous.
Is heinous.
It is. Just
make sure with the whole since we're mentioning the crocodile poop and all that again, make sure you listen to the first part of this, which we did last week.
Yes.
Yeah, because the Egyptian stuff pretty bizarre too.
Otherwise, that won't make sense to you.
Yeah.
Yeah. That was bad.
Yes. So that was ancient medicine in only 3 time periods.
Wow.
Imagine how much more is out there.
I know. It could be like a whole series.
Yeah.
Well, if you would like to hear more about anxious
medicine, Zoloft, Prozac,
we got you.
We got you covered.
No, more about ancient medicine, then you can reach out to us at lattespodcast@gmail.com, or you can reach us on Facebook and Instagram under Lattes on My Mind, or you can comment on any of our posts on Spotify, YouTube, Amazon, Apple, and Audible. And like we announced last week, we now have our website up, and it is lattespodcast.com.
Yes. So I would just advise, don't be putting poop on your wounds.
Don't put poop on your wounds.
Don't be drinking urine.
If you have wounds or if you feel ill in any way, shape, or form, eat an onion. And then if that doesn't work...
Because that's not dangerous.
That's not dangerous. Yeah. So eat the onion, Yeah. And then if that doesn't work, go to the doctor.
Right. Definitely go to the doctor.
Go to the doctor. Take a nap. You'll be good.